everybody, and welcome to Rise of the Podcast. I am Jeremy.
And I am Darrell.
And I'm Browning.
Oh, well, Chris,
welcome in.
Wouldn't be you if you didn't do it.
Yep.
You didn't do your classic intro. Well, boom. We're just going to roll nice, relaxing music. We're all going to take a nap. This is kid-free time.
Oh,
just sleep for the next hour.
Yeah, I'm so glad my kids aren't here.
yeah. It's Dad's on a couch. I think that's probably
That's a different type of show.
That's true.
Not in this content. We're just no. So Kara's out of town. It's Labor Day weekend. Who did I tell her? Like, oh, I suppose it's Labor Day weekend. You know. So
I totally forgot.
Yeah, it's Labor Day weekend. So I have too much responsibility to leave right now. So
yeah.
I am
sorry.
here. But I'm here for the podcast, which was actually really nice.
That's what you said. That's the only reason you're truly stuck around.
Yes. Well, so I can stay here for the podcast.
Yeah.
So like 2 minutes ago, we were just talking about anime, and my coworker Derek has been like saying, "Hey, if you like these other shows, you should watch Naruto." So I watched the first episode of Naruto, and I really liked it. So that got us talking just about One Punch Man and Dragon Ball Z, which I still have not watched. Is that considered an anime?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No.
It is like
I don't know.
No, that's okay. You're new to this. We'll dip your toe in. Yes.
So, because here's the
Is
thing.
my One Piece an anime?
People say that Avatar isn't because it wasn't made in Japan or it wasn't drawn in Japan. So,
Avatar is like anime.
Well, so then the Simpsons are anime because they're drawn over there.
they're not. Are they really drawn?
Yeah, it's animated in South Korea.
Okay. That's yeah.
Yeah. So have you?
Hey, Dave's on Twitch.
So we had talked briefly beforehand, and I'm curious. So you said like you're starting into anime, and I said that both Naruto and Bleach were ones that I pretty much exclusively read the manga. I've seen some clips from the shows, but I haven't watched the anime. Have you read any manga?
Let me pause you real quick. I don't want to acknowledge the fact that this was brought up, but Kara says you guys match, but reversed.
Yes. There's a big argument on...
I say that the colors aren't close enough to count, but Kara apparently does. And that's the only person whose opinion matters around here.
Well, I was going to say, and then our legs are opposite too.
Oh, they are.
So
yeah,
I noticed that right away. But
I see a new sitcom starting. One of them's short, one of them's tall, one of them's cool, and one of them's lame.
I want to say I don't know what I was watching, but there was a show I was watching, and the main character looked just like you. But I was trying to. I don't know what show it was.
Oh man, now I do got to know that because
BoJack Horseman.
No. What did I see it in?
Was it animated?
No. It was an actual like.
I get Steve
Breaking
Carell.
Bad.
I sure hope it wasn't like a training video for work, because it completely changed. No, it wasn't that one. There's one.
Umbrella Academy.
There's a long running joke about the military teaches cyber awareness. It's this old video that's been around for like 10 years, and you have to watch it and work through it, and then as you do it, you get like trophies for learning about things. And there's a guy in a basement. And there's just a bunch of bars, and there's like red bars, and then there's white bars, and then the red bars are how many attacks that the air base is receiving, and then the white ones are just ones they prevented or I don't know. So they're like, you're doing a good job by learning about this. Look at this white bar is all the way up. We're blocking them. But it's the same scenario every time. So it's all just like this guy comes up to you. I'm picking on this. This guy comes up to you and he gives you a disc. He's like, hey, Mark makes his own video games. You want to run this on your government computer? it's like
I wouldn't run that on my home computer.
Like,
sorry, Mark, you bad.
But nope, definitely not going to stick an unauthorized CD in any government piece of equipment.
Do government computers even have optical drives anymore?
Not anymore, but
the few bases I've broken into have.
We have a bunch of
Those are
CD-ROMs
bases.
that just plug in USB. There's a bunch of them. So
what would you say the easiest way to get information onto a computer would be?
You need to steal someone's cat card and then be there in person.
What's a CAD card, and what does it look like, and where do you keep yours?
Yeah, what
it probably sounds bad if I just say CAC, but it's a common access card.
Oh, cat. I thought you said cat.
No.
I thought you said like the GAC, like that old I was like, well, that's neat. Just right on the
Yeah.
Let's go bloop.
Anyway, so have you read any anime?
No, so
read any manga. Jeez.
Initial D back in the day.
Oh, okay.
What, initial D?
Yeah.
What's that?
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Initial D. It's about drifting.
That
People
sounds
take
lame.
Toyota Corolla AE engine code AE86s and they.
That sounds like the lamest thing ever.
I have never
Great
read or
Honda
watched a
engine
sports
B12.
manga, but I want
Is that correct?
B12 keeps you from getting scurvy.
FDRX FD3S. It's the like you can refer to the body generation style of cars, but there's an RX-7 in the initial D. Yeah,
I'm
That was
gonna
the
nod
only
like I know what
thing-
cars are.
that I've ever read, unless Pokemon counts. I think I had some Pokemon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you showed me your box. You had a big
Yeah.
box of stuff.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
there
did.
was some
You had
Pokemon
some
in there.
Pokemon anime and that, or a manga, and that was actually pretty good.
Oh, it's not so easy, is it?
It is not. I got it. You caught me.
But you planted that seed, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm a farmer, Farmer Brown.
So, just not to change. Well, I'm just a tangent. The thing that I'm currently listening to, which is really hitting its stride, is Wheel of Time. The first Wheel of Time. And so my coworker's like, "Watch the trailer. Watch the trailer." I'm like, "I don't want to watch it until I read the book because I think it's gonna be much better in the written format." And so, now we're gonna go there. So, Game of Thrones has become a way that I describe, and this is gonna go right back into anime. Game of Thrones.
So he says.
I can use that as a reference, right? That this TV show is very Game of like none of your main characters will survive. That'd be a Game of Thrones trope or whatever, right?
I think Walking Dead
So
did that first. But
violence to me, Invincible, you compare it to One Punch Man.
Oh, sure.
So it's like, this show reminded me a lot of One Punch Man. So that's like your baseline. And so Wheel of Time, from what I've seen, like he showed me the trailer. From what I've seen is I just don't know if Amazon's gonna be able to give it the justice it deserves. So I don't know how much.
Interesting.
Gwen, the Force is invisible, right? Supposed to be like not
the
visible.
weaving?
Yes. No. The what's the light? The Force that the
you're
Aes
clearly
Sedai
not paying attention.
No, the Aes Sedai control the Force, right?
Essentially, it's like the Force.
What's it called though? The One Power?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
It's supposed to be invisible, right?
Anyone who can weave can see it.
Okay. So in the show,
they
they
can
just
see other people's weaves and learn them if they're paying attention.
So it's like
bending.
jutsu. Yeah. I love how we're both like.
Yeah, right. It's like bending. But so anyway, I just don't know if they'll be able to pull it off. I don't know. I know there's a lot of money behind it, but
I also watched the trailer, and they very conveniently were cutting in the trailer before their weaves were complete. Like you can see them drawing on elements, and it's like wispy white stuff.
yeah.
But it never actually made a weave, so
Got
I don't know
it.
if there's gonna be more to it or not.
I've yet to read. So my buddy Mark read it, and he was like, "This is daunting." And so instead, my task was to read the Dark Tower cycle from Stephen King, cause a wheel of time, perhaps. And I meant to get into it, and I did find doing the fall musical Beauty and the Beast over at the high school this year, and out in the library is just getting rid of gobs of books, and I just totally took every single sci-fi and fantasy book that they had.
That's awesome.
There's a few horror lit there too. I was excited, but the first two Wheel of Time books are there, so I've started, and I mean like I had to shove the pages back into the book. So like by started, I mean I spent most of my time rearranging the pages like an old manuscript, like Gandalf or Gandalf going through all the pages. He's like, oh, he's trying to figure out where the ring is. Like that's me just trying to get the first 10 pages of Wheel of Time, archaeology style. But I'll get it.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
excited. But I'm like you. I want to read it first.
It's a
I have all the books if you want to borrow them.
Well,
There's 15.
yeah, that's a lot of words.
the
We're gonna
audiobook
see.
is 30 hours, I want to say, somewhere in there.
That just for the first one?
And just for the first one, and where I want to say where I started enjoying it was like 4 hours in.
Okay.
It just there's like a million places that it talks about, a million people it introduces.
And that's like I'm bad with names to begin with.
if
Like
you
I
don't-
can't if it's not a Pokemon name, I'm not gonna remember it. So like so they're like, oh, this person in this town and here, and I'm like, I don't even know what the 3 streets down from me is, and I live here.
I'm listening to it. I think it's a lot harder to understand who is who when you're listening, because it's just like you're not reading it. You're not like
You don't get a
you're
chance to
not-
go back and be like, what was that name
What
again?
was that name again? So
Swanky says, it's guys' night.
yay! Yeah,
And
see,
Jeremy's here too.
you're so funny. But anyway, so that it finally got to the point where I was listening to it on the drive home from Cloquet a couple days ago, and I was like, I didn't want to go inside because it was at such a good point in the book.
Oh.
It's so good.
You sit there and just idle
So
in your
good.
car for a while,
Yeah.
and
Gwen, Do you remember the first book very well?
Yeah.
Where Rand meets the Trolloc for the first time.
Yep.
I love that whole part.
Oh, when at his house?
Yep.
Yep.
Really,
That's
really good.
Insane.
You guys sound like you're talking a different language right now.
That's good. That means it's a good science fiction.
Did they
I
just
don't
do a
think that's
Klingon?
accurate.
Is that what?
I really want to, because I don't think they had Trollocs in the
Trailer?
I'm really interested to see what they make them look like. Because like reading the book or listening to it, you already have a vision in your brain of what everyone looks like and what all the things look like.
But what about the Zigzors?
So what was really cool about the Trollocs, Gwen, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they're the ones where their capes don't move.
That's the Mydrals.
That's the Mydrals. These one characters he describes, their capes don't move in the wind, so they stay stiff. And it's just like that. It makes these characters seem so cool. Like the way he writes about it was really cool.
Yeah, they're like the Nazgul of this realm.
So are the Trollocs? Are they the ones who are wearing the leather pants?
Now you've got
that
me.
are like half human, half animal.
Yeah, they're hooded.
Yep,
But I thought they had like
they say exterminate.
they do not.
Those are all the Daleks.
Yeah.
Oops, my bad.
Yeah.
Is it Dalek or Dalek?
What?
Is it Dalek or Dalek?
Dalek?
I've always said Dalek. Another one I
pronounce
have
everything
purposely
wrong.
not got into. I have too many other fandoms. Never got into Doctor Who just because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to actively choose not to get into a fandom just because I'm sure I'd love it. There's nothing wrong
There's
with it.
plenty of room in the TARDIS for you.
Yeah.
Come on.
Swanky says the Trollocs sound like a late 70s post-punk new wave band.
And
that
I
I've
love the
listened
name.
to.
I was trying to describe my coworkers going nuts every single time I get excited about the book. So I was like, "What's the name of those half dog, half human things?" And he's like, "Trollocs." And I was like, "Oh, trolls." Should remember that. So that's how I can remember it now. Is they're like trolls, but
Except trolls don't look like dogs at all.
well, I don't know why. It depends. Okay.
Whatever mnemonic device you
Yeah,
want to
okay.
use.
Here's what I want to talk about trolls. Trolls are one mythical creature that are completely portrayed so different in such a wide variety of things. Valheim, they're giant blue humans, right?
Yeah.
There's trolls under the bridge, and those look like little, like, I don't know, like the little elf characters that you like. They're, well, what are trolls? Trolls are, I guess they're kind of like Valheim in Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
They just turn
they're-
to stone during the day.
They're Norwegian. So like originally they're like Norwegian or like that sort of area. And they were supposed to be more like gigantic humanoids who would turn to stone. And then I don't know if the Norse was like similar and they just were like, oh, these are close enough. So we're going to borrow the words, or
Right.
if perhaps where one troll was this. I am not entirely sure. I've got a fun neighbor story once we get on to other monsters, but yeah, trolls and you know, it's like ghouls. Everyone's like, oh, ghoul's a zombie. And it's like, no, they're not the same thing. Ron had a ghoul in his attic, and it's more, they're not the same.
So now,
They're like-
Hold on.
my
I need to
definition
talk
of-
about zombies for a second. You go ahead.
My definition of ghouls are from Fallout. Are those ghouls?
Those are just irradiated people, though.
What are they? Are they called ghouls?
There are ghouls, but they're just like those people that are like super irradiated.
Right. But they weren't dead, but they just got more.
Like when-
so
when
what
I-
is your definition of ghoul?
So to me, a ghoul, it's more akin to like a vampire, is it not? Where it's not, they're not a body brought back to life, but they're this like, they are there to feast upon the living, and they have zombie like tendencies, but they are not like reanimated corpses.
Yeah, a ghoul is a demon-like being or monstrous humanoid associated with graveyards and that consumes human flesh. In modern fiction, it has often been used for certain kind of undead monster.
Yeah, they were corpse eaters.
So
Like-
Are there ghouls in Witcher? Do you fight ghouls in Witcher? You've played Witcher, haven't you? Witcher 3?
I haven't.
yeah,
I never got the
greatest
chance
producer of all
to.
time.
I should have.
Do you have any ghouls in All Hallows Eve?
I don't have any ghouls in All Hallows Eve yet, but I
What
do
is
have
Cog?
zombies. Cog is kind of like your masked serial killer.
Got it.
He could
He was never
be
dead.
a ghoul. What's that?
He was never dead.
He was never dead.
Got it.
No.
Okay, well, we're going to test my Halloween knowledge. Jason was dead?
Jason.
Which one's the one that came? Who came?
well, so
You got Halloween.
Halloween
that's
is Michael
Michael
Myers.
Myers.
Yep. He was never dead, was he?
Well,
yeah, that depends on when you come into the thing.
Yeah,
at
and
the
it
beginning he's
depends
not.
on
He's
what-
just an escape from a mental institution.
Okay.
in my book, no, he's not dead. If you get later into the series, he's like infused with like a Celtic spirit of.
Well, yeah. Well, and the same thing,
something.
like, so Jason is questionable whether or not he was dead and then came back initially.
They
It's
said
sort of
he's Evil Dead. Why the Nana? Why can't I think of it now? Oh my goodness. The Evil Dead books, like
Yeah.
there is like it's official now that Jason's one of those. Somebody in the comments, please save me. I feel terrible. The Deadites. He's a Deadite.
okay.
Is somebody because it's like the Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Right.
But
So again, depending on what movie you're in, like he was in Hell and escaped or whatever. Was it? He doesn't get his hockey mask until like what, number 4, 3?
3.
Okay.
Which is like for anybody, you know, it's the Scream thing. It's like who's the killer in the first Scream movie?
Me.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, did you love the mat? Like that's like the jerk way of like seeing if somebody's just like saying, oh yeah. You're like, oh, wasn't Jason's mask super cool in the first movie? And they're like, oh yeah, I love the hockey mask. And you're like, you're an idiot. He didn't get that till 3, and you sheen your glasses.
Yeah, he had like a sack over his head.
Did he really?
Yeah, so in the first one was his mom. Obviously, everyone knows that one.
What?
Yeah, spoiler alert, Jason's mom did it.
Yeah,
It was the butler.
Jason's mom has
It's
got it
kinda like-
going on.
She's running around and stabbing everyone.
Do you have to pay for that now? I'm sorry.
And Kara and Swanky are fighting on Twitch.
Oh, what?
About Swanky's. Kara's trying to like answer our questions, and Swanky says, "Keep your informational posts off of here." This is for Twitch is for, what do you say? It's for BD jokes and insults.
Ah!
Is it keep your informational posts to YouTube?
That is actually.
And
really funny.
she told Swanky to sod off.
She is the queen of the server or whatever.
Yeah, well, not on Twitch.
Apparently not. Apparently not Swanky's turf.
Anyway, so zombies.
Zombies.
Let me just double check something real quick before I start going on a whole freaking thing.
Well, you're looking zombies up. I have a really quick story. So a few nights ago, one of my daughters sits up in bed. She goes, because I go to check on her. She goes, Dad, I think Nancy's a shapeshifter.
Who's Nancy?
My neighbor, my
God.
elderly, lovely little old lady. Because for the same reason I could be Batman, Nancy, they go, we see a cat in Nancy's window, but we've never seen Nancy and the cat. So they are in the same room at the same time. And I do not believe Nancy even has a cat, adding to this
that
mystery.
makes it crazy.
That is the thing, is like they keep seeing a cat, and I can't tell if they meant like outside because we have a couple of roamers or whatever. But like, yeah, but they're both now convinced that my sweet little old neighbor Nancy is a shape-shifting or an animagus.
I was saying she's an animagus, if anything.
So are raising your kids right, Darrell.
I know, right? Yep. Yeah, one of my buddies is like, if it was anybody's kids, like a 6-year-old knowing what a shapeshifter is, I would question it. But they're like, since it's you, yeah. Like, of course they know.
I think her case is a mimic.
Yeah. I took, because they think goblins. Goblins is their thing. Like, they're scared of goblins. And to them, I'm like, well, Yoda's kind of goblin. I have this really cool Yoda figure that I have to hide away because it's like goblin. But one day Avery's like, oh yeah, they know the goblin's the thing that goes. I was like, no, that's a zombie. And they're like, I think you're wrong, Dad. And I'm like, well, you're not. And
that reminds me of
The Louis
C.K. bit.
Yeah.
I'm not even going off memory here. I'm reading the box. Like, have you seen that?
No.
Oh my
His
goodness.
daughter is calling Fig Newtons Pig Newtons.
Oh.
And he's like, no, they're Fig Newtons. She's like, no, you're wrong. And he's like, I'm not even going off of memory here. I'm reading the box.
Yeah, he goes, does that taste like a pork cookie to you? No, it tastes like a fig.
So what I do is like a parent who grabs, a science textbook or like a Bible or something to like read this thing to their children. I go downstairs and grab my monster manual from D&D, and I'm like, all right, girls, come here. This is a zombie.
on page 119.
Yeah, look at the CR rating on this.
You know what you need to do for me? You need to sleeve that with a gold handprint and the number 1.
Oh, I've wanted to recreate those so bad. We are just skipping topics now.
Anyway, so I need to complain about zombies for a second.
Yeah, let's
okay,
hear it
so
out.
name the first zombie movie you think of, Jeremy.
The one where they're at the mall.
That's Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. That
Dawn
one.
of the Dead? Okay. Actual zombie movie.
Okay.
28 Days Later, not zombies.
They're
That's
rage.
rage.
I just brought that up, which is actually probably the most.
Because they were never dead in 28 days. Is that correct?
They were just like like something screwed up their rage.
Okay, Walking Dead, not zombies.
Really? Why not?
So classically speaking, so the zombies, as they are known for the progenitation of the whole thing,
The
are
Haitian
reanimated. So it's based on Haitian voodoo. It's a reanimation of a corpse through magic or some other means like that, and is directly controlled by the person who reanimated them.
Really?
Or is reanimated with a specific intent behind it to go and do something. So all these things where it's like, the T virus or the
Resident
whatever.
Evil, not zombies.
Not zombies.
I
To
mean,
me, not zombies.
So you are old school Haitian black magic. That's the only way
Infinitely cooler
they are.
than I got bit by somebody with rabies and now I'm gonna bite somebody else.
What was the Dawn of the Dead though?
Those are based more in the Haitian zombie
So
tradition.
George Romero was the first one. I don't know, was White Zombie?
He was the first huge blockbuster.
Yeah, that was the one that set a lot of the tropes up for what zombies would be, because up until that point they were much more that type of zombie where it was like, we've gotten some island or we've gotten to some jungle place and they've raised these to back up to do right. Like they were like necromancers. They were sentient guards. They're like, all right, you go and you protect my domicile or whatever. Okay, I see your point.
I just get
Culturally
frustrated. I just get frustrated when everyone's like, zombies, this and that or whatever. It'd be like if for some reason.
So what do you call a zombie that's not a zombie?
You took the words right out of my mouth.
I don't call them whatever the bad
The
guy
undead?
is. I mean, they're.
How
It's
many
questionable
of
as
the
to so like. This is the thing that frustrates me about let's say the Walking Dead zombies for example, right?
Yep.
So I guess they're a weird case because it doesn't matter how you die, you are reanimated. Because it doesn't matter if you're bit or not.
Correct. Yep.
So it's like whatever it has. I don't want to spoil it necessarily, but have they revealed what causes that yet or not? Okay, I doubt they ever will. 'Cause that'll be the end of the
Originally, it was
series.
supposed to be aliens,
That was my beef.
but that might have also been his way of suckering people, and I don't remember.
But so anyway, I would consider a mummy a zombie.
I was gonna bring that up. Think of all the big Universal ones.
Yeah.
What's a vampire? It's an undead. It's the living.
Well, they're cursed to not be able to die.
Right.
You can't bite a dead body and turn them into a vampire.
Right. Yes.
So
you could, a vampire.
I would say that a vampire isn't technically undead; it's the undying.
Yes. And then Frankenstein's monster, reanimated corpse.
He is, I think, classic or closer to a classic zombie than a lot of other things.
The Mummy, you're right. I always thought the Mummy is 100%.
Curse zombie.
Yep.
So we have science zombie and curse
Ghost.
zombie. Well, ghost is a disincorporated spirit. So
It's the nobody version. So if we're going to Kingdom Hearts
So
rules
where
here.
did the zombies come from in Dawn of the Dead?
Dawn of the Dead is the same thing, so it's a virus.
yeah.
Now the interpretation.
But the way that they act is a little bit more classical to. Anyway, so that's where it first starts breaking away. That's so there's the traditional black magic zombie, and then this is sort of let's try and explain this with science, right? The science being indistinguishable from magic if sufficiently advanced, whatever. So maybe it wasn't a curse that was reanimating these people. It was actually this,
Some fungus
COVID-21.
Because the second movie I think of is Train to Busan.
Oh, I've yet to see that one.
It's fantastic. You can
Okay.
do the subtitles. There's a scene, and it just sets the stage for the whole movie. It's long enough, so I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this for you. But this guy's driving down the road, and he hits a deer. And then, the deer flips to the side of the road, and he gets out, he scratches his head, and he keeps driving on. Well, then the camera goes back, and then the deer gets up, and it's head's all twisted and broken, and it gallops off with a broken neck. It's so cool. It's just done super well. And then that just sets the stage for everything that's going on. And it's just a classic, overwhelming amount that just keep going, and he's got to get on a train to Busan to get out of it. It's where it's where the people are.
Yeah.
So we've gone through our monster. We went through zombies, went through vampires or whatever. The Mummy sort of bookended either phase. You had the Brendan Fraser one and the Tom Cruise one.
Sure.
Or whatever.
Brendan Fraser.
Have we had a decent Frankenstein film in the last 20 years? Now that I can think of.
There was, what was the series?
There's one with
Penny Dreadful was the only, I enjoyed their take on Frankenstein in that a lot.
There's a
I
very-
would say that's the best.
There's a TV show with Sean Bean. He's at the Frankenstein Chronicles. It's a completely different take. It's more about medical experimentation and them illegally operating on bodies to learn about the human body, and then he's trying to like bring one back together. It's really good.
There's a Dean Koontz series of novels about how Dr. Frankenstein basically made himself immortal and has been like perfecting the Frankensteining technique to like reanimate bodies and stuff. And like, I don't know if anyone's going to read these. Anyway, the main character ends up finding out that they're actually reanimated.
Oh,
Like, it's very interesting. Frankenstein, according to Swanky, is the only Frankenstein movie from this century I can recall, but he never watched it. He says also a zombie that isn't a zombie equals a middle-aged white-collar worker. But because we've gone through the cycle on all these things, right? Like we had the Blade movies as one take on vampires. We had Twilight, which was embarrassing. We had all these other things. Underworld, which was like to me.
I like the Van Helsing werewolves. If they had a tail, I would have thought they were like I like big wolf werewolves.
But like I would be much more interested in a zombie film that was about like the classic, like the original zombie, like where it's like
That would be neat. It's
like some sort of sorcery or evil magic or something, or magic that's misused. I should say. I'm not saying that voodoo is necessarily evil. So,
Yeah.
but
well, with the Necronomicon, I mean they're deadites, so they're more like demons, I guess. But that's pretty close to your more black magic version of zombies. But you're right. I think that would be a fun twist. All Hallows Eve will eventually have zombies.
Nice. I just laughed. We got here off a cop.
you could have like a zombie. What's the Guardian and the Trick or Treaters? You have like the anti versions of them.
Oh, right.
So then you're racing to get candy with your zombie killing kids.
That's kind of fun. The way I have it currently is, and I'm trying, the balance is hard. And I won't get into it a ton for people who haven't played the game because this is big spoilers for expansions down the line. Graveyard Smash would be the expansion. I have zombies and a ghost. Zeds for the zombies. And then I was like, oh, Phantasm. That's a cool name. That's a super popular horror movie. I cannot use the word Phantasm for the ghost. But you would start
Call
with
him Mr. Spooky.
Mr. Spooky. I like that. Done. Deal. You get rights for naming it.
Yeah, sweet.
It's a zombie. Starts off as just one, and then maybe some more if there's more. I don't know. And it has a move pool of up to like 5 or so, so it can book it in the beginning. But for each trick or treater it eats, they turn into a zombie, and now you can split that move pool. So you can attack out of any of the zombies that are out there, but now you have to go, well, do I move 3 zombies 2 spaces? Let's say it's 6 movement or whatever. Do I move 3 zombies 2 spaces or 1 zombie 4? And so it's like you have to kind of control this mass and this horde. So far it's been in playtesting, it's been super swingy. Like the pro of it is like it's fun to like to build up your army, and then like you just hunker down near one of the last houses and somebody walks in there, and it's like per the X factor of this monster is that per trick or treater or per zombie token around the trick or treater it gets X to the roll. So like, it's like, oh, it's a D4 plus X, where X is the amount of zombies adjacent to the target. And if there's 6 of these things around it, that thing's getting jumped.
Yeah.
The bad thing is unlike other monsters that like they've been designed to like slowly ramp up as the game goes on. This one, if other monsters start to take out the zombified trick or treaters, there's not really a good way to regain the ground for the zombie player. So it's kind of a feel bad where like, why wouldn't they just start targeting off these zombie tokens? And then the zombie at the end of the game is just back to its like basic stats that doesn't have hardly anything. So, I mean, this is a ways out. I'm not sure when the release schedule. Chronologically, it's a 2-pack. So I have my 3-pack, my main game. And then here, I'll do it. And then available October 9th. First at Twin Ports Terror, and then DuluthCon the 22nd. Doing a panel there. So if anyone's interested in joining either of those things, I'll see you there. But this will be the first one. I'll have 3 monsters in it, and then there's going to be an expansion monster, expansion trick or treater set, And then I don't know what I'm going to call them, like mini expansions where it doesn't have everything. It's 2 monsters, just enough tiles for that. And then like I said, like single monster packs. So Graveyard Smash would fit chronologically, like right after All Hallows Eve. It makes sense. But I'm so excited for Cabin Fever because of the monsters in there. Bogbody, Miasma, and Lupine. Yeah. That I think I don't want to just jump right into another 3 set because I think I only have 2 of like the main core games, and the rest are either these like 2 packs or single monster, single trick or treater expansion sort of deals. But I don't know. But zombies will eventually come. I'll figure them out. For a long time I will be the hipster and say I was into zombies before they were cool. I'm gonna plant my flag, do my hipster flip, and be like, you guys just like you don't even know. But huge into it, and then it just got like to the point where it was oversaturated. We talked if Marvel was oversaturated. Zombies for a long time did. It was like every single thing had to be zombies, and it just took the fun out of it. We're Cthulhu. We're on the very end of the Cthulhu thing, and another flag planted. I won't make a Cthulhu monster for All Hallows Eve because to me, like it's cool. I do want a kaiju that just like stomps. Like all it is just like 3x2 pieces, and they just stomp across the board. It's just feet from some giant monster. But Cthulhu's been way too overdone, and it's like there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just been done to death.
Right.
But I love zombies so much more. They're one of my original favorite monsters that I can't not. And I mean, the board game that got me into designing board games is Zombies, 3 exclamation points, by Twilight Creations. Oh. Like it is what got me past this is Monopoly. This is, family game night, whatever. It doesn't have a story. Like this is the one that I was like, this is so much fun with me and my buddies to play, and it's replayable, and I feel like we're in there, and I started like making scenarios, and then I was like, I can start kind of like working on my own games. Cause like I had dabbled in it before.
Right.
But like they had a kit that was like, I think it was like 6.66 or whatever. And it was just a bunch of blank tiles and a bunch of blank cards, and you got to make your own expansion.
That's cool.
So yeah. And I thought that was really neat, and that's really what drove it. And like at its heart, like now these are like distant cousins at best. But, a lot of what I loved about that game was put into All Hallows Eve and other, parts of that. So I gotta have zombies. I gotta. But that was my tangent.
There you go.
Yeah, so
I like it.
So you're talking just to put the nail in the zombie coffin.
No.
Yeah, it's like
Zombies aren't in coffins.
that's the whole thing, Jeremy.
Get outta here.
You idiot.
yeah, plant the voodoo magic on the dead body. Then zombies they can come from coffins.
Yeah, but they're not in them.
Not-
A nail in a coffin wouldn't hold a zombie back.
Well, I've seen the movies.
Yeah, one of the coolest scenes, and because like. All right, so zombies couldn't burst through a coffin. They're deteriorated, and coffins are 6 feet below, and they're usually in steel, and they have concrete around them. Jog on. Yeah. There is the Dance of the Dead, by far one of my favorite horror comedy zombie movies ever. Dance of the Dead. If you haven't seen it right now, pause this broadcast. I know it's live. Pause it. Go watch it. We'll wait. Okay, so you're back. And there is a scene where the zombies start popping out of the graves, and like you can tell, like, well, they did a good job, but some guy was in a harness, and they're like, all right, pull, and this just rips out of the ground, and it's this such a cool scene because they're driving this car away, and is like as they drive by, these zombies are like literally like popping out of the grave.
That's funny.
Hitting the ground and just chasing.
Like a comedy.
Yeah, it's
It's not like Shaun of the Dead.
It is very Shaun, which is I call a rom-com.
Right.
Yeah, a zombie romance
Absolutely.
comedy. Yeah,
A zombie comedy.
yeah, a zom rom-com. Yeah, my favorite Venn diagram of all my movies is a zom rom-com. So yeah, it's very much in that lieu where it's it's just great. So yeah,
I love Simon Pegg, and I didn't realize that. the guy he plays in a lot of movie with. I didn't know they played in a lot of movies together.
Nick
'cause-
Frost.
Nick Frost, yeah, because
oh,
Edgar
he is
Wright,
so funny.
the Cornetto trilogy.
Hot Fuzz is so funny. It's such
Hot
a-
Fuzz,
Swanky approves of Zom rom-com.
Yes. So the Shaun of the Dead is the first one I see, and I have such a hard time between. So there's Shaun of the Dead, End of the World, and Hot Fuzz.
Yep.
The nostalgia says Shaun of the Dead is my favorite. Like that's the first one I think of. I do think Hot Fuzz is a superior film.
I think Hot Fuzz is better too.
It
but I love them both.
It is, and it's tough to say because I love them both.
Yeah.
So much, but
only
like
ever
Hot Fuzz
saw
is better.
Hot Fuzz a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah, and I had seen Shaun of the Dead first, and then I was gone. I think I was when I was in New Orleans, and I had 2 weeks down there, and I was like, well, what do I watch? And so I watched Hot Fuzz, and I was like, it was a great. It's one of those movies you're like a little bit homesick, or you just want to be home, and you need something to do to occupy your mind, and it was like it just took me away for the however long the runtime was. I was like, this movie is so funny.
I wrote multiple papers in college on that movie.
It's
Pierce
Edgar
Brosnan's
Wright's
in it,
directing
right?
ability, all the stuff. Like as a person who watches Hot Fuzz probably 6 times a year, easily, you still see new stuff, and the three of them are so good at tying these little details together where you're like, oh, that was referencing this here, and it's this little throwaway line or this little background detail.
Yeah.
Like Edgar Wright, like Scott Pilgrim. Like there's so many like layers thrown throughout there. Like you could do like you said you wrote like some essays, like the amount of X-Men stuff in Scott Pilgrim is insane, that like you could fill your entire essay on just the references of X-Men in that movie. But like, yeah, Hot Fuzz is so good. Although it's one of those movies that it has like 10 different endings where you're like, oh, this is the end. And then you're like,
right?
oh, there's still more. Okay. And you watch it a bit more. And then this happens. You're like, oh man, that's the end. And you clap and the credits still aren't going. Every time I forget that it's like they tie up so many different stories, but it's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's such a good all-around movie, though. I love it so much.
Swanky says Hot Fuzz is one of those movies I didn't care for at first, but the more I see it, the more I like it.
Yeah. You find so much more. It is. I mean, I loved it the first time I saw it, and then I just keep loving it more. Yep.
It was fun. Like I said, it's one of those, for me, it's like what Ted Lasso is right now. It's just at the time I needed that movie to be what it was. It like took me away, and I had a really good time watching it. And it was just really, really fun movie. Really, really love it. But way back, you had asked me if I had read some manga.
Oh,
was there a
30
point,
minutes ago.
Was
Yeah.
there a point you were making with that?
No, I was just curious. We were just
That
we were
was the
just starting to-
baseline for where I was at. So initial D, Pokemon. That's where I was like, and then I like dipped my toe in with One Punch Man, which was ridiculously easy. I can't say enough praises about that show. It is
You're welcome.
so funny.
Yeah, speaking of a comedic love letter, that also still is such the perfect shonen. Like, yeah, it's
what I don't get, and I don't know if like we're just right under the cutoff, but I feel like anybody who I talk to who's like over 40 currently doesn't like animation, or just maybe it's just people in general. You either like it or you don't. But there's so many. There's like Gravity Falls, Avatar, all the Clone Wars, just all these.
Yeah.
So the new one, the Kara had me start watching the other day, and I'm already 7-8 episodes in. Have you watched Kippo? Kaipo?
Oh, that's the same studio that did. I think we like kind of watched some of it. Is that the one where it's like the girl and it has?
pink?
Yeah, I
How do you
have.
spell that?
Kipo.
Yeah, check it out because I think I might be thinking of something. Oh no, I have not seen this. I've heard of it. I haven't watched it yet.
I'm like crushing through them. It's really good.
Yeah?
It's really good. Yeah, she comes to post-apocalyptic world.
Mm-hmm.
She like is trying to figure out how to get back home, but she's just all happy about everything. The scoring, like this cartoon, I put musically on par with Baby Driver. If you've seen Baby Driver,
Really?
it's just like she runs into these colorful bumblebees, and they're just like dubstepping when she sees the bees, and she's just like jamming to it. So then, like later on, she's
only
just,
30 episodes.
yeah, she's like driving down the road in a car or whatever. Like the car is like moving along, it's being pulled by a bug,
Yeah.
and then you just hear some dubstep, playing in the background. And then when she gets out of the car, the bees are just like buzzing around, following her. So there's just these really well, like the music is tied in extremely well, and the cast is super good. And so yeah, and then she finds out there's mutants, and then there's people, and the people all like to hide underground, and then the mutants are just D. Bradley Baker is in it. He's a pig. It's really really.
He is a pig.
Yeah.
All men are pigs.
He's in every. Oh my god, he is in everything. So I've just been crushing it. It's not
Dion
really
Cole's in it. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really well.
I'll have to give that
Well
a shot. Do you think? Because my girls love Gravity Falls, or as I think it's 3 boys and 2 girls is what they call it.
100% the show's fine for
This is fine. Perfect.
100%.
Cool.
There's like no vulgar language. There's not a lot of like graphical anything. It's just very really good storytelling. Really
Sweet.
fun.
Sweet.
About what it would be like to live in like post-apocalyptic world, and she friends up with people, and yeah, it's really good. I really like it. We've been crushing it. So really fun. But another
What's
animation
that on
show.
HBO?
No, it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix. Yep. Netflix original, I want to say. Have you watched The Dragon Prince?
I did. It's so good.
That's a really good show. The reason why I love that show is Sokka is the voice of Sokka is in The Dragon Prince.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and the Scottish elf is hilarious in The Dragon Prince. So that was another. So it's like I think I watch more animated stuff than I do non-animated stuff.
I think so too. And I don't know, like you said, like if it's just an age thing, or because they can show so much through animation, or they can bring that more like things like that. I mean, are possible in real life, but I don't know. I know there is something to it. I would say like, yeah, typically I do watch more animation. And for a while I was just like, man, am I gonna grow up sometime? I'm like, no, they're still making it, and it's targeted toward like, tons of stuff for animation. Like you said, Bo Jackson.
I think culturally, like the Flintstones is like the only animated like thing designed for non-children for like ever. It was like a prime time thing, and then like the Simpsons or whatever, blah blah blah. So it's like it's taken a long time for like people to shift that expectation of like if it's animated, it's for children.
Yeah.
So I know there are people that are just like, I don't watch animated stuff because it's for kids or whatever, like, and they just won't be swayed because that's how they were programmed to think about that type of thing. But like, I don't care what the medium is. If it's an interesting story, I'll watch it.
Right.
You know, it's like if it's made out of paper mache and recorded, I'll watch it, as long as it's cool.
I still have a hard time swallowing a lot of the cell animated stuff that they're trying to do more often.
Animation style doesn't really bother me. I know what you're talking about. But
Yeah, there are a few
Like,
that
you're
I
talking, like-
have to get.
Like this is a video game, but like Borderlands or Wind Waker.
Yes, but because it's animation, it's so much like they started trying to do a lot of anime that way. And it's just like a lot of the fun of anime is like the really well animated fight scenes, like they're fluid,
Right.
and then these are just they just look blocky
Right.
to me now. I cannot remember the first anime that I had watched that way, but like to the point of the What If series for Marvel.
Oh yeah, and they're doing it with Star Wars too.
Yeah, it seems cheap to me because it's like I understand that it's probably a faster, cheaper process of doing it, but it's not as smooth. Like they do some cool stuff. Like I will say, like progressively, like the Doctor Strange one was a lot more. Because I mentioned to my wife about this, and I was like, oh, I don't care for how it looks as much. Still watch it. I still think it's cool, but to me, I think it's just they're like, we can bash this together because we make a model and we throw it out, and like maybe I'm wrong on how it's done,
Right.
but like I don't know, I don't care for the look as much. Will I still watch it? Absolutely, and if it's a good enough story, yes, but like some people don't watch black and white movies,
Yeah, and
just
it might
because
be one of those things too. Like if you had grown up with it, maybe it wouldn't be so
yeah.
jarring.
Oh,
or different.
I'm
So
sure.
as time progresses, I think it'll be one of those things that becomes more accepted. Because I know there are a lot of people that just don't like that style. There's a lot of people that don't like the anime style.
Right. They're wrong,
it's just like,
but you're
like,
right.
oh, I hate the way it looks. What?
I said they're wrong, but you're right. Yeah.
So
What is Miyazaki, right? Mm-hmm. Is that anime?
Yeah.
yeah.
Is
And
it?
that's what I was going to bring up when you said like a beautiful soundtrack. I was like wondering if it was like Miyazaki to you, because like you want to talk about some beautiful movies and great soundtracks.
I would say anime style. Like I don't know if took me a while to get used to the fight scenes because I like haven't watched Dragon Ball Z because it's like, how do you always like they keep amping up the power levels, right?
That
And it
power
just
creep
Yeah,
gets
well, and they'll
real.
do like 3-episode arcs where all they're doing is like charging up a shot.
Yeah. And so that's what was hard for me to get into those shows, but for like One Punch Man just did it for me. Like how they bring like the Genos Saitama fight is so cool. It looks so good.
Yeah.
And just like how they convey power in that show, I love. But I love the Miyazaki movies, but there's no power in that. Like The Cat Returns is one of my favorite. Right? Like The Cat
Yeah.
Returns? Yep. I love that movie. Love that movie. And then Spirited Away.
I was gonna say Spirited Away, like, is my favorite. Like, I like tons and tons of them, like, because obviously they're all great.
Totoro.
Yep. Tried watching that. There's like, well, I mean, I watched those things as kids, and then I'm like, oh, this one maybe Totoro didn't maybe age as well as some of his other ones. But Howl's Moving Castle, Totoro. I can't think of the one with the big wolf. Why am I Princess Mononoke. That's a
I wouldn't show that to children.
new. There's parts in that still are like creepy, but they're so well done. Like as the big beast like rises from the forest, and it's so good. But yeah, but
I think I was
Away
like
is
14 the first time I watched it, and it's still it was like, ugh.
when I watch Spirited Away though, I need to make myself a feast because all I want to do is eat through that entire movie. Like when those parents are just like grubbing down in the beginning, I would absolutely have fallen for that trap, and I'd be like, oh, I'm turning into a pig, whatever, and I would have just like whatever that like gushy dumpling thing they have, and I'm not like I know what it tastes like, and I've never had it.
Well, it's for me the one thing. The stupid rice balls they always eat in Pokemon.
Oh yeah, the donut when Brock was making a donut.
They just look so good, and it never,
Yeah. My buddy Justy's grandma made some really good rice balls, but she had like a fish center in them.
Yep.
And those were good, but they were like. Is like when you watch Winnie the Pooh eat honey.
Right.
Like the first time as a kid, I was just like, sweet honey. And the crushing reality of like, honey is fine, but it is not mittful in your mouth good.
Well, apparently it is this summer because that was a TikTok thing that went viral. So just like Tide Pods and everything else.
Yeah.
In the room knows what I'm talking about. Have you guys heard the honey thing?
I have not heard the honey thing because
People
I'm an
are
old grumpy
freezing
man.
it. And it turns into like thick, like a
double C
butterscotch,
thick?
like
5 C's.
like it's unbelievable. So then what they're doing is because it's frozen, they're eating in bits of it, and it's just the caloric intake, the amount of sugar.
They're eating what's of it?
They're
just
eating
like
unhealthy amounts of it. So it's like, so normally, here's where I have honey. I used to make peanut butter and honey sandwiches, right? So you take a little bit of peanut butter, put a little bit of honey on there, you squish it together, you're good to go. Or tea, you take a spoonful of honey and you put it in your tea, right? Those are like the vessels of which I consume honey, and that's about it. So what people are doing is they're taking like, not even an ice cube tray, but like a solo cup, filling with honey and sticking a popsicle stick in it and freezing it. They pull it out and they eat like, the
whole
6 ounces of honey, and it's so much sugar. It's so bad for your teeth. You can consume it so easily, but yeah, it's like Laffy Taffy thick. It's like that's how thick it is. People are, this is delicious. Well, because it's cold is probably toning down the sweet flavor of it.
Yeah.
People are just getting jacked on honey, but. So,
man, I'm that old man where like I finally hit I don't understand these kids anymore. And or the Principal Skinner. Is it me who are wrong or the kid?
Right.
Yeah. And TikTok is where I have drawn my old man line. You can send me TikTok videos.
No.
I am not downloading TikTok.
Yeah,
online.
I don't have it either.
No, I just it's. I mean, it's like do it for the Vine, right? Like it's the same thing as anything else, but like
I like Vine, but that was
I know
because it came out. Kevin Hart liked one of my Vines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was Chris helped me make it.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right, so, it took me forever. You were talking about like the eating scene. Have you seen Restaurant to Another World?
I believe I have. I think it's been a great.
Jim and I were watching it. It's really good. So basically, there's just this restaurant in the middle of nowhere, and it's like closed on holidays and weekends. And it's just like this normal like restaurant. But then on Saturdays, a portal opens to some other realm where like some crazy adventure is happening, and these people go in and they just have a meal at this restaurant and like revitalizes them to continue on their adventure or whatever, and you get to like peek in on like this little slice of whatever epic adventure is going on, and then they just leave. And like it's such like a low key like chill show.
Okay,
it's like
shishi.
Half of it is, it's like then just like cooking the stuff and it's like just hearing like the clattering or like the sizzling of the stuff, and like and the food looks amazing.
That is
so, and like so you get to see all these different people like on these like, and there's people that are like looking for this restaurant, like their whole quest is to try and find this restaurant because it makes amazing food. It's really cool.
Well, that reminds me of two things. So another stupid TikTok thing people are doing overseas. They've got in Japan they've got like the buffet that like is a rotating thing.
Yeah.
People are slapping their phones on there. Well, then the phone goes around back into the kitchen, and they're like, invasive, right? You're it's at work. I don't know how much proprietary cooking they have going on back there, but it's like, so the restaurants have been saying and putting the little signs like, if we see your phone on the rail, it's going to go in the dishwasher because that's, the dirty plates come back and we do that. But there's a restaurant in Maine that the woman started cooking, and then she just started cooking for her friends. And then people are like, you should do a restaurant. And she was like, well, she's only going to be open a very limited amount of time. So now she only does it in the summer. I don't even think it's every day of the week. I think it's one night a week. And then to go to a restaurant, you have to send her a postcard. And then if she selects your postcard, she'll let you know. And then that's when you can go dine there. But the reason she did the postcard thing is her post office was going to go out of business. So a bunch of people were coming to her restaurant. So she's like, how can I keep the post office open? So yeah, she made it by invitation.
That's such a cool
That's
way.
awesome.
So it's, yeah.
For a while, I was obsessed with it, and I don't remember what little, it was like a half an hour documentary. I don't remember what they're called, and I only think it was Japan. So I could be wrong on all of my counts. But I wanted to start one so bad, but they were like these mini bars, and there was, usually they'd pop up in an alley. Mm-hmm. Like it was probably maybe as wide as a studio, if not a little bit smaller. Most of them, you would walk in, there would be like 2 or 3 bar stools in the front, a ladder, and there'd be like a seat for maybe 4 people upstairs, and that was it. And you would have a little bit of food, a little bit of alcohol, served, you might make ramen bowls or whatever it was, but it was this little tiny bar, and it's you can never get overcrowded because you're only serving these 4 whatever. So if you have regulars, you need 5 regulars, you can keep yourself afloat because it's just this tiny little thing, and it's just it was such a cool concept to me, and I don't know why, but just this tiny little space for nope, we got 7 people, we're full up. You can wait outside if you want, but whoever's in here gets priority, and you want to come back later. But it's that'd be so nice because you're never over hassled and I gotta get all these drink orders out, I gotta get all this stuff, and it was crazy and closing and everything. It's no, I got 5 people. If anyone's causing a racket, hey, the 4 of you could. Right. That's it. And it was such a fun, like you said, where it's just this little thing. And it was so cool. I wanted to start one, but I didn't.
I was watching.
There's still time.
Yeah.
Because I love Top Gear, and I was watching it. James May went to Japan, and he went to a little restaurant. It was like a food court, and they have these little tiny buildings, and each one serves food. But you go there alone, but it's to force you to eat with other people. So it films him going in there, and there's 6 people at this table, and he just hops right in, and they all start talking to him and everything. And that's kind of a cool concept. So if you are alone and you want to eat with other people, it's they take you in when you go to sit down and eat, which is kind of neat.
There's a restaurant bar I was at that had they were long tables. It was supposed to be a long haul, a Viking, whatever. But they're you can't you're supposed again this deal is there aren't individual tables. Yeah, sure, if it's a bit quieter you can sit at one end or the other, but you're supposed to kind of be elbow up. Wouldn't work in current situations probably. I don't know if that bar is still open anymore. But I thought it was such a fun concept because it was just more about the community thing. I wish we had more of a pub culture here, and I might be kind of talking out of my butt here a little bit, but where it's not you get America and it's so much more about we're gonna go to the bar, we're gonna get smashed. It's I want a coffee place where I go and I read my book or I hang out or meet up with people. It's not I will have a drink, but I'm not here to drink.
Right.
Yeah.
And we just kind of hang out, have eats and whatnot. And I don't know. I wish that was more of how we framed that culture, just to have a pub.
Yeah.
Just go and hang out. And like you said, it's more about a gathering place.
That reminds what's it called? What's that one that everyone loses their mind? Sir Ben's.
Yeah.
Sort of like
That's the
reminds me
closest
of
thing
that.
we probably have. Like, I feel like I can walk in there and it's totally accepted, but you've got, like Ted Lasso does a good example of it, or even if you're talking about Hot Fuzz, they've got a great bar culture in that, that you get to see. And then even, like Clarkson's Farm, it's really funny. He gets fish in his little river and he brings them to the pub.
Oh.
And there's just like, there's
Hey,
not
Gabe.
that culture. Oh, hi, Gabe. There's not that culture here versus here. Here's the things I hear about. People go to bars to play pull tabs, play bingo, or they have a spot they go, and it feels very not open to outsiders.
Yeah, like like I'm not a big drinker to begin with.
Yep.
But like a little dude like me walks into a bar, especially maybe a diver, like like you said, it's more territorial almost.
Yeah, it
and
is
I'm like,
very territorial
I just
here.
don't feel comfortable going in. And like I'm a very social person.
Right.
But like to walk into a place and just kind of like everybody stares at you.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Hobbit bars down the street, son.
They serve fights down there. Yeah. Yeah, so
Gabe, is this a Saturdays for the Boys episode? Yep.
got it.
Oh, that cracks me up.
And Jeremy's here too.
Yeah.
Just keep getting hit with it.
I'm just going to hang a picture of a dead horse right here. Just cracks jokes. I'm just going
Beat it.
to just hit it over again.
I can't help it that I like
Mush.
my jokes.
Go, horsey, go. But anyways, yeah, so here's what a point we were thinking about too, about all these anime. So I liked, you got to be in the right frame of mind, but I liked what I started off with Naruto. Love One Punch Man. So if there's any other ones you want me to watch, let me know. But it's funny too, because like animated.
Berserk.
I was gonna say you can go back to our top 10
Yeah,
film,
watch the top 10 TV shows.
Right?
but I could write you a list and then I'd write you like 40 more emails. But actually, remember this one and go
Remember
ahead.
this one. But I try to get other people to watch shows, right? And it's surprise. Like the best shows are the shows that somebody takes interest in, and you're just watching them. So Kara, not in a million years would I be like, Kara, you got to watch One Punch Man with me.
Yeah.
But it was one. I was like, I watched an episode, and then I watched the second episode. She's like cooking dinner, and she like looks in at the TV, and she's kind of watching, and then I quit. And she's like, you're gonna watch the next one? I'm like, yeah, when I want to. And she's like, I kind of want to see what happens next. But there's the shows you get excited about. It's like, you should watch this. And the person's like, I don't like this very much.
Well, it's like cooking shows. Like I like the Great British Bake Off or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to sit down and watch this. And like 6 episodes later, I'm like, I promise you, I'm not watching this. I'm going to get up and do what I did when I sat down
6 hours ago.
Yeah.
Kara's
and-
going to yell at me, but I love the fact that the guy that's in the IT crowd in the closet's oh, they let me out. Because that guy, he's in the British Bake Off.
Yep.
I don't know his name.
He's really
but
funny.
He is really
He is
funny.
super funny. Yeah, the Office Vampire.
Yeah, the Office Vampire dude. But he's in the Great British Bake Off, and that was like I never thought I'd like.
In the United States, it's called the Great British Baking Show because Bake Off's a registered trademark of the Betty Crocker Corporation.
No way.
Wolf.
I had
Well.
no idea.
Yeah, that's why there's 2 different names for it.
Oh.
Trademarks aren't international,
No.
really. So I
Nope.
can make Nintendo
It's,
here.
well,
That's copyright?
I'm sure they registered it in the United States.
Now I'm tracking. Now I'm tracking. So Bake Off was already probably too well established, right? Because you can't trademark. What was Lindsay Lohan or somebody was trying to
LeBron James is trying to trademark Taco Tuesday.
No way.
Yep, it was like he was doing this, like he was doing Taco Tuesdays,
Yeah.
or whatever, and like he was always doing all these social media posts about it. So he was trying to trademark Taco Tuesday. It's like this has been around since tacos and Tuesdays have been around.
Well, I know some celebrity was trying to trademark a single word like it or they or taken or like something totally common
Very close to home for me. Candy is a word
because of Candy Crush, right?
No, there was a guy. I don't remember. I think they've gotten in trouble. Like there was some guy. It's kind of like Abracadabra Alakazam. Like why there's no Alakazam Pokemon cards after like the first like 2, because this guy who made that phrase was like suing the crap out of anybody who did it. And there was some guy who had candy somehow trademarked. So stuff like Candy Crush and everything else, like smaller companies couldn't get it because they didn't have enough money to like throw at this guy to use candy. Yeah, and I don't know all the details, so like someone can fact check me and maybe prove me wrong on that one. But like I remember
when I think of Candy Crush, Saga is also trademarked from Candy Crush Saga.
Just the word saga. You can't use the word saga in any of your games anymore because of that.
That's what I thought.
So,
Ooh, the King Candy.
yeah, what
Sweet.
King's Candy trademark really means. Hold on real quick. I want to go to chat just for a second. Dave said, I'm the same way. I can get sucked into almost any show. If it's well produced, even if it's something that you wouldn't normally be interested in, it can, like, the narrative can draw you in.
Absolutely. And that's good.
When it was recently revealed that social game developer King.com filed to register the trademark for the word candy, the response from fellow developers and game players was less than kind. The company, best known for making the highly successful puzzle game Candy Crush Saga and other titles in its Saga series, was accused of throwing its weight around and intimidating small developers.
Okay.
So here's the thing about trademarks. Trademarks are industry specific, right? So you making a game with candy in it is different than making a candy called candy, because they're different industries. So trademark protects your name or brand or word inside of the industry that you work in. Go ahead.
So teacher, because one of the problems I have, and I will lie, even though this is a on thing. So because of it, I was looking through trademarks because I knew of the candy issue, which seems to have been resolved. But candy corn and Jawbreaker are also trademarked. So
Yes.
I specifically did Jawwrecker and corn candy kernel were my substitutes. I was
love
so
it.
proud of Candy
I love
Kernel. And so I'm redoing the art for All Hallows Eve, and I'm coloring it in. I accidentally pulled the files from before I checked that. So the beta versions have Jawwrecker and Candy Corn, or Candy Kernel. These 30 coming to con, so your con exclusive, have Jawbreaker and Candy Corn back in there because I grabbed old assets on accident, and I bought $500 worth of cards.
So here's the thing. This is an exclusive run.
It is. So this money, like you get like the misprint copy of this.
Yep. This is like if your Pokemon card has got cut halfway down for some reason.
Yep. So get them while they're hot and legal. And maybe I'll make enough money to cover my butt in lawsuits.
No, here's what's going to happen is you started and you already ended. So usually the first course of action is a cease and desist. Well, you already ceased.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't even mean to. I was
We
just
need you to stop doing this. I'm already done doing it.
Yeah, I didn't even mean to do it in the first place. I took action not to, and then I was too dumb to take my own advice. And here we are. Yeah. So con exclusive for a little bit.
I mean, so the interesting thing you're talking about is somebody
somebody
buying somebody who's going to be in the market to spend money on your board game isn't the same type of people who are going to be competing with candy corn. Like, if anything, they go hand in hand. Like, you should put out a bowl of candy corn when you're playing All Hallows Eve.
Yeah, well, and candy corn is dangerously close to becoming a genericized trademark anyway.
Yeah.
Because how many different people make that type of candy?
What was that something that was going to happen with Nintendo? Yes. People didn't want their moms calling the system Nintendo because then it generalized a gaming system.
Well, Nintendo didn't want people's moms calling it Nintendo.
Correct.
So it's like
they
Band-Aid,
they didn't want to lose their trademark.
Exactly.
Yep.
So Google right now is saying we don't want you saying you Googled something.
Right.
We want to say you used the Google search engine to search for something.
Right.
That's a legitimate thing right now. Google is actively
Did
telling
you Google that to find that out?
No, I was actually watching a video about genericized trademarks.
The things we do in our spare time, like there's times where I have that moment, I'm like, I spent 30 minutes figuring out why banana candy tastes the way it does, and I learned 40 new banana facts that I'm going to spew out at the kids at school. But yeah, anyways,
I've learned so much stupid stuff about topology. Like, how many holes does a straw have?
2.
No,
3.
It has 1 hole.
because it's all the way through.
Yeah, because in topology you can squish and stretch stuff any way you want. So it's basically just a circle with a void in the middle of it.
Right.
And that counts. So there's 3 different classes of hole. Be careful the way you say that. So there's type 1 holes, which are
Some people say there's 4. Anyways.
that are a certain type of thing. So it basically, if you can draw a shape and you can rotate it around any part of the object without that shape being deformed by an absence of something, the inside of that is a type 1 hole. If it's something where it passes through that, it's a type 2 hole or a 2-dimensional hole. And then there's type 3 holes. And it's I watched an hour-long video about this just to hear the answer to how many holes does a pair of pants have.
Right.
And they have 2 type 1 holes and 1 type 2 hole.
Oh, funny. You've got
Here
the
you are.
one
You've
hole
infected
on
us with your
top,
knowledge.
And then there's one for each leg,
Pontypool.
but they're part of.
But the top hole is shared by the two bottom ones. So if you
So top hog.
so it's got 3 holes either way, but if you connect the legs, you get a different type of pants that still have 3 holes in it. Because there's the hole that's a space in between the 2 legs. Like that's a different type of hole than a hole that goes straight through something.
I hate you for those minutes of my life. I'll never get back. No, that's interesting. I love.
But did you seek this information on your own, or was it suggested for you to watch?
So
Like,
a channel that I watch that just gives me nothing but stupid information made a video about this. This is actually not the first video I've watched about topology either. Vsauce did a video
he's
about
amazing.
topology.
Yeah, he can't do any wrong, that's for sure.
Well, he only puts up like 4 videos a year now. It must be nice to make a video every 4 months.
Right. They're really good. He did the one where it blew my mind. He gives you can sit down in a chair, you can take some weights, you can have somebody spin you, and then as you bring them in, if you just bring them in, you'll start to speed up.
Yeah, it's
Because
like an old science.
Yeah, it's like he explained it in a much different way, but in my mind, it's the same thing as leverage. So if you've got a fulcrum point here and you push 1 inch here, it's, whatever it translates to here, versus if you go 1 inch out here, it's 1/100th of an inch here because of the distance that this has to travel. So it's the same thing. If you're moving at 3 miles an hour with your arms out here and you bring that same force in, you're going to spin faster because it
takes less of your rotational energy to move that weight when it's closer to you than when it's further away.
Right, and so it speeds you up. So that's how that all question started, from how do figure skaters go wee?
I'm waiting for a man in a giant rat suit to come in.
It's
From Beekman's
Lester.
world. Yeah.
but yeah, because then they put their leg out, right, and then they
Yeah.
spin. So when they're spinning it, and they get the going out there, and they bring it in. That's how they spool
Yeah.
up. It's like a reverse of a top.
Well, top doesn't change its dimensions.
Let's talk about Beyblades and how cool Beyblades are. Speaking about tops.
I don't know if Jeremy knows what a Beyblade is.
I don't know what it is.
Are you too old to know what a Beyblade is?
Maybe
I
don't
know what it is, but I see them referenced all the time in things that I watch.
Yeah, I
You
won't
want me
cut
to pull
us
up a
off.
picture of Beyblades for you, Jeremy?
Yeah. So I mean, I know you're usually more like the stick and hoop sort of man. But Beyblades, I never really watched the
Okay,
anime. I never
so
got into them besides.
See this thing right here, Jeremy?
you'd pull it and then get in the arena.
Well, so there's an arena, and then you have these 2 things that are ostensibly tops, but cooler.
Yeah, they're just tops that like smack the crap out of each other.
And then
it's
so then
great.
you fire them up, and they do combat in their little Beyblade arena.
There's a part of my life where there was things I asked for presents that were affordable. Like I didn't go like it wasn't asking for a
Like
horse.
finger skateboards.
Yeah, tech decks.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I was using the generic word for it.
Yeah, no, he's brand name only.
Swanky said I had no idea those things existed.
Well, so I remember a '90s commercial with 2 kids that just look '90s, and they're just shooting them into an arena like over and over and over again. Like they've got like a line on their arm, and they like just whip out into the arena, or they start
Yeah.
like a chainsaw or whatever. But I think I'd wanted those, and I think I got Hungry Hippos instead.
So
A far superior game, to be sure.
Yeah.
Same arena, different action.
yeah. One of the presents I wanted until I got it was a Furby. Like the big Furby craze, and I was like, I'm gonna get it. It's gonna be so cool. I think it's so neat. My great grandma Grace, rest her soul, or grandma Grace, I don't know, rest her soul. She got me a Furby, and I opened it up, and I was like, sweet, a Furby. And then I go, why did I want this?
Right?
And I put it on, and turned it on. It creeped me out.
They are creepy.
They are, and they would pick up like air chatter and stuff sometimes, and I was like, what is the actual point of this? Like it was one of the first growing up points where I was like, I got marketed to.
Yeah. Oh, well, speaking of marketing, Chris, we've dabbled in running some ads, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen how much Facebook has stepped up their mobile advertising?
I haven't.
It's unbelievable. So here's what it was before, right? You run an ad, it's super easy. So let's say you want to sell All Hallows Eve, you want to run a Facebook ad, right? Yeah. So you go in there and you hit run an ad. It's like, all right, do you have a picture? Yep. Or what's your call to action? You got a call to action. Visit your website, buy your product from your store, learn more about your product, give you a call if you want more
Link out to your website.
physical traffic to your business. whatever
Yep.
you want. So you pick a call to action. So in your case, let's say you're going to point them to your website.
Yeah, your
right?
online store.
You're going to point them to your online store. So you do that, and then it's like, what's your market? So you're going to say, I want 30 to 40-year-olds living in the United States, or I want, whatever you want your market. You can pick. I want to only advertise people who make more than $500,000. That's an option. It's
I only want to advertise to people who have missed out on Halloween so many times and they're jaded and bitter about it and want some sort of surrogate to be able to participate in Halloween.
Right.
Well, so what's fun is like one of the topics is, so if there was a TV show that was really popular, it was about that. So we'll just say like, I don't know, whatever show.
Yeah, Rick and Morty would
You
probably
can
have
say,
some translatable.
I want to target only people who've liked this subject, and you can pick Star Wars, Rick and Morty, anything. If it's like got a blue check, you can like pick that topic and you can advertise. So you can say, but you can even narrow it down. It's really funny. You can be like, I want to market to people who like Star Wars and meatballs and banana flavoring from Runts or something like that specific, right? So, but anyways, so before you'd scroll by and the impression's free. So if you see a thing, it'll have like a thumbnail of your website and be like, check out my website for whatever reason. You have your words, your verbiage, call to action. You click it and it would like open up Facebook's web browser and it would just show your website.
Which is the worst web browser.
It is the worst web
web
browser.
So now they've got like
I'd rather Google it.
custom, right? They've got like custom ads. So if you like, now what it would do is if I see your board game and I click it, it would like pop up. And then it like right here in the bottom half would be like where you could buy it.
Yeah.
And it'll have like testimonials over here. And then there'll be like a video playing here with everything. They're and then it takes up the whole thing. There's no way to exit out anymore except for a microscopic X in the corner. It just like takes you into this, it's like VR advertisement. It just surrounds and envelops your whole phone. It's unbelievable.
So are you saying this is good or bad?
Bad. It's horrible.
okay.
Because
Well-
it makes it so hard to not buy the thing that you're clicking on.
So the answer is don't surf on Facebook.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, the only reason I got back into Facebook after my father passed, I got off most of social media just because I was already almost over it. And then I was just like, I don't need this anymore. But then it's, okay, how do I link up with this person? They're on Facebook. How do I make a quick group of people and tell them all the same information? Facebook. Like with like 90% guarantee they're going to be on there. So whatever, I'm back on there. What's been bothering me is all these like suggested web pages for you, or like, oh, you might like it's, I see almost more stuff suggested to me than I do my actual people's.
Yeah, the content distribution is like 70% ads, 30% the stuff you actually want to see.
Yeah, and it is so like I'm doing the thing where I just like dislike it or like hide this or whatever.
I always report it for sexual content.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll just
They're gonna think that you just have some weird,
Weird,
You're into some weird things.
yeah.
Oh, here's an air fryer. Yep, report that for sexual content.
Inappropriate sexual
That
content.
makes me feel uncomfortable.
That makes my no square warm, and we're not.
Never thought about that. Then, literally, the amount of things, like, how I was talking the other day, if something asks me how likely I am to suggest this product, if I ever get a pop up like that, I always say 0. Even if it's a product that I love, I will always put 0 because I don't want to fill out your stupid survey, right? It's easier for me to hit 0 and hit submit than to keep dealing with this thing popping up, right? And so it looks like I'm a guy who hates everything that I've ever used and is afraid of the sexualization of every product that's advertised to me.
Well, one of the things I've gotten back, because like some guy or some algorithm at least, someone has to do some work somewhere, because any political ad, whether I'm for them, against them, fake news. Like I hit whatever, like I think this is false information, and I'm like, all of them, and then I'll get like this list of things back like, we checked into this and we didn't find anything that was like on surface level wrong, and I'm like, I wasted your time and that's good enough for me.
Yep.
I'm surprised
The process
you
works.
I'm surprised you didn't flag air fryers for false information.
Yeah. Just take a hair dryer
I
and
just
attach it
watched
to a
that
freaking
episode.
toaster oven.
Yep, that was on Cat 7. It was just come up.
Oh, was that one on?
Was the one, and you were irate.
I hate air
Yeah,
fryers.
and I said something about it being like it was a step above the toaster ovens, the kids Easy Bake.
Easy Bake oven.
Yeah, Easy Bake oven, because that's just a light bulb. That's even worse.
Well, you can't even buy those light bulbs anymore. It's hilarious. Try using an easy bake oven with an LED. You'll never get it cooked.
Yeah.
Swanky says they're making money selling your information, collecting your data to the point where they know what you want before you want it. Stay off social media. When it comes to social media, you are the product. I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
Social media is just
Yeah, if
all
you're not-
about leveraging as much of your own personal information so they can sell it to advertisers as possible.
Well, I've heard like if you're not paying to use it, you're the product.
Right.
Yep.
You know, and to the same degree, all those things that are coming on, the deluge of like, what would you call? What's the last thing you just ate? That's this dog's name, or like, what all these things that are these kind of information grabbing things. Like, what was your first car? This radio station wants to know, and it's like, no, because that could be a password, like dog's name, like all of these things. There's so much stuff, and they're just dumb. They're just dumb.
Really glad you brought up the word password now. So I got
Jeremy is obsessed with passwords.
I got an email.
Just
from,
hit camera to him. I'm gonna take a nap.
Quick pause.
All right.
David says, I had videos and ads on Facebook this morning about what we worked on last night, and I never searched for it. That
is
has happened to me too. I was in the car on my way to a shoot. It was me, another producer, and the account executive. And we were talking about how Facebook like listens in, like, as an example, to like what you're talking about. And randomly we talked. I can't remember the specific thing that we had talked about, but no joke, by the time we got to the place we were going to, we just all popped Facebook open. All of us had ads front and center on Facebook about that random thing that we had talked about. It's like this.
Yeah, I will talk to my
scary.
off phone every once in a while because I'm like, X candidate is a piece of garbage or whatever. Just so like whoever's listening or like into my like PlayStation controller.
I feel bad for the NSA guy who has to watch me play video games poorly.
Or
Right.
yeah, right. You're watching video games play poorly. How many holes are in a pair of pants?
Yeah. Yeah, and he's like, oh, I gotta sign up Brown again tonight.
He's gonna tell his significant other. He's gonna be like, you know how many holes a straw has?
It's like, you're so smart. What do you do when you're at work all day?
So what's your password tangent?
So,
Now
I got an email from. So there's a couple of really good websites. And it sounds not legit, but it's a legit website. Is haveibeenpwned.com or .org. If you Google search it, it'll come up, right? If you Google it, that'd be the improper use. I said,
Yeah, if I use the
if you
Google
use-
search engine to search for, what is it?
Have I been pwned?
I been okay.
you're gonna go off the Beyblade page, and that's a mistake.
Oops.
But okay.
Have I been pwned.com.
Yep.
Check if your email has been.
Yep. So you type in your email there. Now
So is this them just harvesting my email address? I'm gonna
no,
put JManthiel in then.
I'm already in there.
Okay.
I already have a website. So here's what's nice. They keep track of if your email shows up in a password list.
So this is a legitimate thing.
This is a legitimate
So I should
thing.
just like check mine right now.
Yeah.
Are
Yep.
we all checking? I'm gonna take my phone out. I know you said don't do it, but I'm doing it.
All right. Chris is going to check it. So I got.
No.
Now,
I don't want to see the results. It's so bad.
so
Not the least secure email address in the history of the universe.
well, so I'm going to finish this story, and this is what cracks me up. So it's bad when a website stores your information in plain text. So
yeah.
it's supposed to anonymize your password. It can dash some salt in there with it. There's a bunch of stuff it can do. So there's a really bad data breach or a password list that got put on the web. They grabbed
Roll
it,
20. You betrayed me.
and they
Oh, you use Roll22?
Yeah, dog.
Huh.
I do this for the kids all the time. But
So they sent me an email and they're like, "Hey, there's a huge list of like a hacker list that gets sent back and forth. That it's out there. Check and see if your email is listed and your password's listed, and then if it has, know what like hopefully you know where it went. But this is basically it's just a rainbow table of a bunch of people's email and passwords. So you have to know. So if you use if your email is name@gmail.com and then your password is banana, if you hopefully don't use that for every website, you could figure out where you need to go to change it. But if it says that and you see it, well then somebody else would have it too, so they can start plugging it in. Anyways, I had some fun with it. I checked all my people who I don't know your email, but I checked all my friends to make sure they weren't on the list. Checked myself to make sure I was on the list. But it was email addresses and absolutely plain text passwords just right there. So I had some fun with it. I Googled, there was 3 people out of like a million that use just plain old Star Wars as their password. There's a couple people who would mix it up a little bit. They'd be like, Star Wars 9, Star Wars Obi-Wan. Like, so I was just looking through. They had everything under the sun. It's really fun to just look at people's passwords because it's changed so much, right? Everybody back in the day used to use password or Jesus, I think, was one of the most common passwords.
I mean,
Well, so
he's
like
gonna
I
protect
know
my soul. I can trust him to protect my computer.
everyone's router is usually admin.
Admin.
Admin
So
1.
I just had an absolute blast searching through there, but I was like, what? I want to look at people who use Star Wars, and so I typed in Star Wars, and it was like, I wanted to almost send these people an email and say, hey, your password's compromised, but good on you for using Star Wars as your password. You know.
Most of my stuff's kind of deep cut, but yeah, I get to the point where I'm like, I'm so dumb I don't remember anything. You know, like.
Also, what I do, and I don't want to be too explicit, but I use a system for generating passwords. So I have the same like root base, and then like based on the type of website or whatever, I will use a different special character and different like additional things. So like if anybody ever figured that out, they have figured out my passwords for everything.
So,
But it's a little bit more robust than just using the exact same password for everything.
so like, let's say, and you can nod because they're not going to see on camera whether you got nod yes or no. So like, you'd be like, your base is dog, right? And then you're like, oh, it's Facebook, so dog FB, and whatever number system. It's like the 29.
But I like, Salt. I was designing for a program, my own password, the way to store people's passwords. I was like, if I made a website and people stored their passwords. So I didn't even know this was a thing until I just did it. But it was like, I would take whatever the input was, and then as a server owner, I would add a random word to their password that would be the same off of what they put in. So it was kind of fun to do like if and then statements saying like, if the letter A goes in, you're going to grab the number 6. And then if B goes in, you're going to add the letter J at the end. So it's like if you type in a password, it'll just create a bunch of garbage on the end, and then that's your password. So every time if you enter that in, it'll come in. But if people see your password out there, they don't have your password for like every site and all that fun stuff. But yeah.
So the looking through like the things that like compromised my password or my email address on this thing.
I only had one, so I'm pretty proud.
I have 8.
Oh.
Also, I have no idea what data enrichment from PDL customer is.
So if
enrichment?
Data.
Okay.
If you read
that's
that,
a different website.
That's probably something like Facebook or some marketing place that takes your information and resells it.
So Dropbox screwed me.
Yep. So they had a
lead
MySpace, I see, buddy.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it.
I'm talking about it.
Anyway, so
brought
Lead
it up.
Hunter, whatever that is.
Could be something to do with like LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn might have sold.
I gotta check again. I think it was just the one.
MyFitnessPal, which is something I haven't used since like 2010.
So what you'd want to do is what you'd use this information for is you would go to MyFitnessPal, see what your password is, and anywhere that password has been used with any of your other accounts, you'd want to change it.
Okay.
Is what it comes down
Yeah.
to. And obviously on that site.
Yeah, MySpace, Special K Data, whatever the heck that is. Verifications.io, no idea what that is.
I got hit by the last one on your list too, by the way.
Zynga. Everyone probably got burned by Zynga.
I used to play it. What was the big Mafia
Words of
one?
Friends.
I played the Mafia one.
Oh, that was a Zynga game too?
I think I
what was
pwned
the name of that
myself
game?
now that I realize this.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
I'm
Gwen is even worse than me.
Gwen.
And I even spelled my email wrong so people couldn't just find it.
Wow.
Well, you and Gwen are pretty close. Oh my, David's the worst. I feel okay now.
So I'm at 1, and I actually, thinking about it, might have pwned myself because it says 1 unintentional data breach. Because at my school, I'm the eye in the sky. Like I'm the admin for the server we use to watch all the kids' Chromebooks. Mm-hmm. So I'm in there, and I logged into my personal Roll20 account on the school system, and I think I went through through that way. So I think I might, because like the breach is like someone looked into it and got whatever information. I think I pwned myself. So I was only one. How much were you? Are you double digits?
17.
17 for those who didn't hear.
I don't know what half of them are.
Oh.
I am 11, but Chris, I'm surprised you're not on my top one. I wonder. if you
I use a very, very, very robust path, and I change it on that one.
But no, did you use that service prior to October 2013?
I'm going to check an old email now.
Yes, I did.
So yeah, that's when that one got. Yep.
Well, so Adobe sends me stuff all the time about, oh, your password should be changed, whatever. So I just do that.
I'm going to check my first email address ever and see if that was because
Dropbox, yeah. I don't. Yeah, well, Gwen got hit by MySpace and MyFitnessPal too.
You remember that list I was telling you where people?
Zynga.
I'm not gonna show this. I don't know the legalities of this, but if you, well, I don't even want to say that either. So you remember that thing I was telling you about how they're just stored in a list?
Yeah.
You can go ahead and scroll through. Those are people actual passwords. Don't read off their email.
Okay.
But those are plain text passwords.
Whoa. Some of them are much better than other ones.
Yeah, it's really kind of fun to see some people's passwords.
Hot 59 4K. Yeah. I'm just doing some passwords and random. My friend. That's my friend.
Well, your I'm not going to say what it is, but your mom's password for her Discovery Plus is like very, very optimistic.
Okay,
So tell me this: you're a new Naruto fan. Somebody has Sharingan as their.
oh, see, yeah, that's hilarious.
This is great. No, this is wonderful.
I think it was super fascinating. Like I said, I searched for all your guys' info just in case you're on the list. I was gonna be like, oh, hey, check your stuff. And I didn't see any of you guys on there, but
Well, that's good.
Man, there are some ones that there's a Hello Kitty one. I love that. All caps Hello Kitty. Yeah,
isn't that hilarious? It's really, 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 really funny.
that is
Or
That
there's
is
that
good.
XKCD thing where he talks
See-
about bits of entropy for your password and using pass phrases instead of passwords.
This bit's pretty funny. This person has a passwords manager. 44BBE 5CA 2D 2E, and then I won't read the rest of it just because. But
That's
yeah.
very password manager generated.
I love a damn. Oh, is it
Adam.
Adam. The Hoover Dam. That's my dam. I love that.
I love
one.
it.
You can say that because it's proper.
Right?
Swanky says it's because Facebook is linked with most search engines. Never sign in with your Google account, etc. to a site. Gives them access to what you've been searching for online. I'm
Weird.
lazy and do that, and I know that I shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I think part of the problem is I've had this Google account since Jeremy invited me to have Gmail.
I know I'm in the same boat.
So this thing's like 20 years old at this point. So it's like it's been into every gross corner of the internet. It's been drug all over everywhere. There's nothing redeemable. Like, this is the tattiest, grossest email address out there. There's nothing that I should just switch to something clean and be more protective
Yeah.
with it. But I can't. I can't give up my email address.
I want a feather in my hat. My oldest email address, made like probably pre-middle school, 4. Is the
Really?
only 4. So maybe I'm not
Interesting.
doing anything wrong.
It's just a
Or-
website. Like, I was a kid. I used to-
MySpace was one of them.
Neopets got me.
Neopets.
But I was on Neopets. It was awesome.
Gaia Online was
Everlasting
my.
omelet. I'd go and get some every day to feed my. And I finally got a Chombi. But then you need the magic paintbrush. Don't.
I remember Neopets and feeling bad because like a lot of mine would die. Gaia Online was my big one. I remember not guilt free spending some of my like Christmas cash. Like grandma and grandpa were like, here you go, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy clothes on this online chat website. Like, so dumb.
How many kids do you think take their birthday or Christmas money and go to OnlyFans now?
Well, we can't probably discuss OnlyFans for most recent debacle, but yeah.
I'm gonna say this is I saw a funny thing and it was Dumbledore and he said Hogwarts is no longer allowing magic.
Yeah, it'd be like McDonald's being like, we're not selling hamburgers anymore. Like, French fries, we're okay with that. Everything else, no more hamburgers. And it's like, all right, that's your choice. And I
Yep.
mean, It was reversed. Apparently, they did not go.
Yeah,
through
it did. That lasted not very long.
No, and I mean, here's the thing: you know, put conspiracy hat on. Maybe it was another marketing push. Maybe they were like, it's not just this. Like, this is a way to show like we have other things.
Yeah.
So how do
we
you
still sell a
push-
Cobb salad at McDonald's?
Yeah. How do we push that we have Cobb salad because we make the hamburgers going away a big deal? And everyone's like, well, they got Cobb salad, they got French fries, they got other things there. So like, it's not just about that. So I'm thinking
People are
outside the
sneaky,
box. Yeah. Now that's the boat I'm in. Conspiracy accepted.
Yep. All right. Well, we might as well wrap it up now before we say anything that'll trip us up at the last second.
There.
Thank you guys for joining us this evening. If you're watching the polished version of this on YouTube or listening to the downloadable version of it, thank you guys for checking us out. But feel free to check us out live on Saturday nights, 7 p.m. Central. If you do find us on, I guess we're going to be switching mostly to Twitch, so we're still Rise of the Podcast on Twitch. Follow us. Eventually, we'll be big enough that you can subscribe to us. If you're watching the VOD on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you want to see more content like this in the future. Comment down below with what questionable websites you're afraid your email has been associated with. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to be notified every time we go live until we switch over to Twitch exclusively. Thank you guys so much for watching, and of course,
may the force be with you.
Perfect.